Ambassador J1 Kim stood at the window of his office on the 157th floor of the United Earth Embassy. His eyes were fixed on the gleaming spires of the Galactic Council's capital city. The morning sun of this alien world painted the crystalline buildings in shades of purple and gold. This view had once filled him with hope. Now it only reminded him of failure. His computer terminal beeped. Another rejection notice from the council had arrived. This was the 27th time in 15 years that Earth had been denied membership. J1 read the message slowly, though he already knew what it would say. The Council regrets to inform Earth's representatives that your application for membership has been denied due to concerns about humanity's primitive emotional responses and unpredictable nature. J1 closed the message. He picked up a small stone from his desk, a piece of Earth he always kept with him. As he turned it over in his hands, his assistant, Minna, rushed into the office. Her face was pale. "Ambassador, you need to see this immediately," she said, placing a data tablet on his desk. "Our deep space monitoring stations picked it up this morning." The tablet showed thermal images from Earth's outer colonies. Hidden bases were visible in locations where there should have been nothing but empty space. The bases didn't match any known human designs. They were alien, Council species designs. "How many?" J1 asked, his voice steady despite his rising anger. 17 bases found so far," Minna replied. "They've been mining our resources and studying us without our knowledge. The Council, they've been lying to us all along." J1 sat down at his desk and opened a secure communication channel to Earth's Defense Command. Admiral Du Young Park's face appeared on the screen. The military leader's expression was grim. "I assume you've seen the reports, Ambassador," the admiral asked. "Yes. How long have they been there?" "Based on our analysis, some of these bases have been operating for at least 30 years. While they lectured us about being too primitive to join their council, they were stealing from us and spying on us." J1 looked out the window again at the council buildings. All those years of practicing diplomacy, of trying to prove humanity's worth, of accepting their criticism and their demands for improvement. It had all been a lie. "What are our options?" he asked the admiral. "We've been developing some new technologies in secret," Du Young replied. "Things we didn't share with the council. Our engineers have made breakthroughs they never expected from primitive humans. And our fleet. Ready whenever you give the word. We've been preparing for something like this, even if we hoped we'd never need to." J1 sat in silence for a moment. In his 30 years as a diplomat, he had always believed that words could solve any problem. He had dedicated his life to peace and understanding between species. But now he understood something important. Diplomacy only works when both sides are honest. "Admiral," he said finally, "prepare a full briefing for the World Council. I'll be returning to Earth tomorrow. It's time we showed the Galactic Council that they made a serious mistake in underestimating humanity." As he ended the call, J1 looked at the stone in his hand one last time before putting it back on his desk. Humanity had tried to join the galactic community peacefully for decades. They had followed all the rules, jumped through every hoop, and accepted every criticism. But now, they knew the truth. The Council had never intended to accept them as equals. The time for words was over. Humanity would no longer ask politely for its place among the stars. They would take it. Admiral Du Young Park walked through the underground shipyards of Mars Base 1. The massive cavern stretched for kilometers, filled with the shapes of warships under construction. Workers moved like ants around the vessels, welding, testing, and installing new systems. The sound of construction echoed off the red rock walls. "How many ships are ready?" Du Young asked the chief engineer beside him. Hae-Nul Song checked his tablet. 357 combat-ready vessels. "Admiral, another 200 will be finished within the month." Du Young nodded. The Council thought humanity had only 50 ships, all of them primitive by their standards. They had no idea what was being built in secret facilities across the solar system. "Show me the new stealth system," he said. Newell led him to a testing chamber where a small ship hung suspended in magnetic clamps. The engineer pressed a button on his control panel, and the ship seemed to fade away. It didn't become invisible. Instead, it became forgettable. The eye simply slid past it, like it wasn't important enough to notice. The Council's detection systems work by finding things that don't belong. Newell explained. Our ships now send out signals that make them seem like they belong everywhere, like background noise that no one pays attention to. Like how you stop noticing the sound of rain after a while, Du Young said. Exactly. Newell smiled. They're looking for ships trying to hide. They won't find ships that their systems think should be there. A message came through on Du Young's communicator. It was from the testing range on Europa. The weapon trials are complete. Admiral, the range officer reported. All systems performed above expectations. The Council's shield technology can't detect our new missile designs. What about their quantum prediction systems? Du Young asked. Useless against us. They're designed to calculate logical attack patterns. Our weapons are guided by artificial intelligence that mimics human intuition. The Council's computers can't predict what they can't understand. Du Young ended the call and turned back to the shipyard. More messages were coming in from bases across the solar system. New weapons ready. Crews trained. Defense systems tested. Everything was nearly ready. In his office later that day, Du Young reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Council still believed humanity was sulking after their last rejection. Their spies reported that Earth seemed to be turning inward, focusing on its own solar system instead of reaching for the stars. They were right, in a way. Humanity had turned its focus inward, to build, to prepare, to get ready for the moment when they would show the galaxy what they could really do. His computer chimed. A message from Captain Mira Lee appeared on the screen. Ghost protocol training complete, she reported. My teams are ready. We can begin infiltration operations whenever you give the order. Good work, Captain, Du Young replied. Stay prepared. The order will come soon. He closed the message and looked at a picture on his desk. It showed Earth from space, beautiful and blue. The Council thought they understood humanity because they had studied Earth from their hidden bases. But they had made a huge mistake. They had watched humans, but they had never truly seen them. They didn't see the determination in every worker welding hull plates in the Mars shipyards. They didn't see the creativity in every engineer designing weapons the Council's computers couldn't predict. They didn't see the strength that came from combining human emotion with human intelligence. Soon, they would see it all, and they would never forget it. Captain Mira Lee's ship drifted silently through Council space. From the outside, it looked like a small merchant vessel. Inside, it carried some of Earth's best soldiers and most advanced technology. Mayray watched the main screen as her ship approached a massive Council defense station. The station's scanning beams passed over their hull, but the computers registered nothing unusual. Newell's stealth technology worked perfectly. They were invisible in plain sight. Status report, she said quietly. Jin Ho Kang, her tactical expert, checked his displays. All systems normal, Captain. The Council's quantum predictors show nothing unusual in this sector. As far as they know, we're just another trading ship making its regular run. Mayray nodded. Her team had spent months practicing for this mission. They had studied Council defense protocols, learned their patterns, and found their weaknesses. Now it was time to put that knowledge to use. Begin Phase 1, she ordered. The ship's advanced sensors started mapping the station's internal structure. The Council relied heavily on automated defense systems. They believed their technology was too advanced for any primitive species to understand, let alone defeat. Look at this, Jin Ho said, pointing to his screen. Their entire defense grid runs on pure logic. Every response is calculated based on known attack patterns. They have no way to handle unexpected situations. Mayray smiled. And what's more unexpected than humans? Her team worked quietly, gathering data about Council defenses across the sector. They found automated response systems, robot guards, and computer-controlled weapons. Everything was programmed to respond in logical, predictable ways. They'd forgotten how to think creatively, Mayray said as she reviewed the findings. They depend so much on their computers that they don't know how to handle surprises anymore. A warning light flashed on Jinho's console. Council patrol ship approaching, Captain. Maintain course, Mayray ordered. Let's see if our training pays off. The patrol ship drew closer. Mayray's crew continued their work, acting exactly like the merchant ship they appeared to be. They sent out the right signals, followed the correct protocols, and made the expected amount of small course corrections. The patrol ship passed by without stopping. Their disguise had worked perfectly. Send the data back to Admiral Park, Mayray ordered. He needs to see this. As her crew transmitted their findings, Mayray thought about what they had discovered. The Council's defenses were strong, but they were also rigid. They could stop any attack their computers could predict. But humans didn't think like computers. Captain, Jinho called out, look at this pattern in their patrol routes. Mayray studied the tactical display. The Council ships followed exact paths through space, never varying by more than a few meters. Their timing was perfect, which meant it was predictable. They're so focused on being perfect that they've become predictable, she said. And predictable means vulnerable. Mayray opened a secure channel to Earth. Ghost Protocol reconnaissance complete, she reported. We found their weakness. Admiral, the Council's greatest strength is actually their greatest weakness. They can't think outside their own rules. Well done, Captain, Admiral Park replied. Return to base. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. As her ship turned for home, Mayray looked at the Council station one last time. Soon, that station and others like it would learn an important lesson. Never underestimate a species that could think creatively. The Council had built their defenses to stop logical attacks. They weren't ready for human imagination. Admiral Du Young Park stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Earth vessel Determination. Around him, crew members worked at their stations in complete silence. The massive view screen showed empty space, but Du Young knew better. 500 human ships waited in position, hidden by He Newell's stealth technology. All ships report ready, his communications officer said quietly. Operation Silent Thunder can begin on your command. Du Young checked the time. In exactly 3 minutes, human forces would strike 12 critical Council installations simultaneously. Years of preparation had led to this moment. Connect me to Yoonji Choi, he ordered. The young cybersecurity expert's face appeared on a side screen. She sat in a specialized command center deep beneath the lunar surface, surrounded by advanced computing systems. The virus is ready, Admiral, she reported. Once we launch it, their quantum defense grid won't know what hit it. Du Young nodded. Yoonji had created something the Council thought impossible. A computer virus that could think unpredictably, just like a human. Their logical defense systems would never see it coming. 60 seconds to attack position, the navigation officer announced. Du Young opened a channel to all ships. Remember your training, he said. The Council believes their technology makes them superior. Today, we show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our machines. It's our minds. The countdown reached 0. Execute Silent Thunder, Du Young ordered. Across Council space, human ships appeared from nowhere. They emerged next to defense stations, patrol bases, and communication centers. Before the Council's automated systems could respond, Yoonji's virus struck their quantum defense grid. The Council's supposedly unbeatable defenses began to fail. Their computers tried to predict where the human ships would attack, but each ship moved in ways that made no logical sense. Human captains made decisions based on instinct and creativity, things the Council's prediction systems couldn't understand. First target neutralized, reported the tactical officer. No casualties on either side. That had been part of the plan. Humanity wasn't here for revenge or destruction. They wanted to make a point. Reports kept coming in. Council defense stations found themselves surrounded by ships their sensors hadn't detected. Patrol bases watched helplessly as human vessels disabled their weapons. Communication centers fell silent as Yunji's virus scrambled their quantum networks. The Council's high command is trying to coordinate a response, Yunji reported, but their automated systems are in chaos. They've forgotten how to fight without computers telling them what to do. Do-young watched as another Council station surrendered. The entire operation had taken less than 15 minutes. Humanity had just accomplished something the Council had thought impossible. Message from Earth Command, the communications officer announced. Ambassador Kim is ready to deliver our terms to the Council. Good, Do-young replied. Tell him that all primary targets are secured. The Council will have to listen now. He looked at the tactical display showing the status of all 12 targets. Every human ship had performed perfectly. Every system had worked as planned. The Council had spent centuries building their defenses, but they had never considered that their greatest weakness would be their own rigid thinking. Humanity had just changed the galaxy forever, not with superior technology or overwhelming force, but with creativity and unpredictability. The Council would never again dismiss humans as primitive or emotional. Sometimes, being unpredictable was the greatest strength of all. The Council's main command center was in complete disarray. Alien officials from dozens of species rushed between control stations, trying to understand what was happening. Their perfect systems, which had worked flawlessly for centuries, were failing all at once. Lieutenant Su Binyang watched this chaos through the cameras of her fighter squadron. Her 12 ships hung in space near one of the Council's largest military bases. The base's automated defense ships floated nearby, waiting for orders from computers that no longer worked. Echo Squadron, begin the demonstration, Su Bin ordered. Her pilots moved their ships into formation. They had practiced these maneuvers for months, creating flight patterns that would confuse the Council's prediction systems. Each pilot flew by instinct, changing direction in ways that seemed random but were carefully planned. The Council's automated ships tried to respond. Their computers attempted to calculate where the human ships would go next. But every prediction failed. When the computers expected the humans to turn left, they went right. When the systems predicted an attack, the humans fell back. Look at them, Su Bin's second-in-command said over the radio. Their ships are just sitting there. They don't know what to do without their computers telling them. Su Bin nodded. They forgot something important. The best pilots don't just follow rules, they feel the flow of battle. Her squadron continued their complex dance through space. They moved between the Council's automated ships like water flowing around rocks. Not a single shot was fired, but the message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed these ships at any time. Inside the Council command center, the aliens were learning a hard lesson. One of their commanders, a being from an ancient species, watched the tactical displays in disbelief. How are they doing this? He demanded. Their technology is inferior to ours. Their ships are less advanced. This should be impossible. A junior officer spoke up. Sir, I've analyzed their flight patterns. There are no patterns. Each human pilot is flying differently. They're thinking for themselves. The commander stared at the displays. The Council had spent thousands of years perfecting their military doctrine. Every move, every response, was calculated for maximum efficiency. But now they faced an enemy that didn't play by their rules. Su Bin received a message from Admiral Park. Well done, Lieutenant. Your squadron has made the point clear. Return to base. Before leaving, Su Bin had her squadron perform one final maneuver. All 12 ships moved in perfect harmony, creating a complex spiral pattern that the Council's computers couldn't even begin to predict. It was beautiful, dangerous, and completely human. As they flew away, Su Bin thought about what they had accomplished. The council had called humans primitive because they relied on emotions and instincts. But today, those same emotions and instincts had defeated the most advanced military systems in the galaxy. "Squadron, form up for the jump home," she ordered. Today, we showed them something they've never seen before: the power of human creativity. Behind them, the Council's automated ships remained motionless, their perfect logic defeated by human unpredictability. The galaxy would never be the same. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. 2,000 representatives from different species sat in tiered seats that rose high into the dome above. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They all watched the holographic display in the center of the chamber. The display showed what had happened during Operation Silent Thunder. Council members watched in silence as human ships appeared from nowhere and disabled their most advanced defense systems in minutes. Speaker Ryan Park stood at the podium. As one of the few council members who had supported Earth's membership, he had been chosen to lead this emergency session. His voice echoed in the quiet chamber. "The facts are clear," he said. "In less than one standard day, human forces have demonstrated complete superiority over our defense systems. They could have destroyed our installations. Instead, they chose to disable them without casualties." A council member from one of the oldest species stood up. "This is impossible. They are primitives. Their technology is far behind ours. Our systems are perfect." "Perhaps that was our mistake," Ryan responded. "We believed perfect logic was the highest form of advancement. We forgot that nature does not work in perfect straight lines." The chamber's main doors opened. Ambassador J1 Kim entered, walking with calm dignity to the center of the room. The council members watched him with new eyes. This was not the same diplomat who had humbly requested membership for so many years. "Honorable Council," J1 said, his voice firm but polite. "For decades you called humanity primitive because we combine emotion with logic. You denied us membership because we were unpredictable. Today, those same qualities allowed us to defeat your perfect systems." He gestured to the holographic display, which now showed Subin's squadron performing their intricate flight patterns. "Your computers could not predict what our pilots would do because our pilots think for themselves. They use intuition, creativity, and emotion alongside their training and logic. This is not a weakness. It is our greatest strength." The chamber erupted in worried discussion. Some council members demanded immediate military action. Others called for negotiations. A few simply sat in shocked silence. Ryan raised his hands for quiet. "Ambassador Kim, what does Earth want?" J1 looked around the chamber. "We want what we have always wanted: to join the galactic community as equals, not as primitives to be studied, not as children to be taught, as equals with our own ways of thinking and doing things." "And if we refuse?" someone asked. "Then we will continue to protect ourselves," J1 replied calmly. "We have shown that we can defeat your defenses. We have proven that emotion and intuition are just as valuable as pure logic. The choice is yours. Accept us as we are, or watch as your perfect systems continue to fail against human unpredictability." Ryan looked at his fellow council members. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, believing their way was the only right way. Now they faced a species that had proven them wrong. The council had a choice to make. They could learn from humanity, or they could cling to their old beliefs and face the consequences. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance. Chief Scientist Ta-Hyun Kwan walked into the council's science chamber carrying a small metal box. The room was filled with the most brilliant scientific minds from across the galaxy. They had gathered to understand how humanity had accomplished the impossible. "What I am about to show you will change everything you think you know about consciousness and intelligence," Ta-Hyun said, placing the box on the central platform. He opened the box and took out a small device. It looked simple, just a clear crystal cube with light moving inside it. But this cube contained something revolutionary. "This is a recording of human brain activity during Operation Silent Thunder," Ta-Hyun explained. "Specifically, It shows how our pilots think when they fly. He activated the device. A hologram appeared above it, showing waves of neural activity. The alien scientists leaned forward, their eyes wide. As you can see, Taehyun continued, human minds operate on multiple levels at once. When our pilots make decisions, they use logic and emotion together. They combine mathematical calculations with instinct. They think with both their minds and their hearts. One of the alien scientists, a beam made of pure energy, moved closer to examine the display. But this should not be possible, it said. Our studies show that emotion disrupts logical thinking. It makes decisions less accurate. Taehyun smiled. That's what you believed. But look at this. He adjusted the display to show a pilot's brain during a complex maneuver. The emotional centers aren't fighting with the logical areas. They're working together, making each other stronger. The room filled with excited whispers. For centuries, the Council had believed that perfect logic was the highest form of intelligence. They had worked to remove emotion from their decision-making, thinking it made them superior. Humans don't just think differently, Taehyun explained. We think on levels you never considered possible. When we feel something is wrong, our intuition is processing millions of tiny details our conscious minds haven't noticed yet. When we create art or music, we're using mathematical patterns we don't even know we understand. He showed them more data. Brain scans from engineers designing stealth systems, neural patterns from tactical officers making split-second decisions. Each example showed the same thing. Human minds using emotion and logic together in perfect harmony. This is why you couldn't predict us, Taehyun said. Your computers only understand logic. But human decisions come from a perfect blend of reason and feeling. We don't just think. We feel, we intuit, we imagine. The alien scientists examined the data carefully. They had spent their lives believing that removing emotion was the path to advancement. Now they saw that adding emotion, in the right way, could make intelligence even stronger. Your stealth technology, one scientist said slowly. Your battle tactics, your unpredictable strategies, they all came from this way of thinking. Yes, Taehyun replied. When you called us primitive for being emotional, you missed something important. Our emotions don't make us weaker. They make us whole. They let us see possibilities that pure logic would miss. The science chamber buzzed with discussion. Centuries of scientific understanding were being rewritten. The Council had thought they were helping humanity by trying to make them more logical. Instead, humanity had shown them a completely new way of thinking. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had been trying to tell them all along. 1 month after Operation Silent Thunder, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council looked very different. The rigid seating arrangement had been replaced with a circular design where all species sat as equals. At the center of this new circle stood Ambassador Jae-won Kim, addressing the gathered representatives of a changed galaxy. Today marks the beginning of a new era, Jae-won said, his voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. Not an era of human dominance, but one of true cooperation between all species. The council members listened carefully. Gone was their old arrogance. The events of the past month had taught them valuable lessons about underestimating others. Admiral Do-Young Park sat in the Earth section, his military uniform standing out among the diplomatic attire. Beside him, Lieutenant Su Bin-yang and Chief Scientist Ta-hyun Kwan represented humanity's combined strength of military skill and scientific understanding. The reforms we have proposed are simple, Jae-won continued. First, all species will be judged by their actions, not by their technology level or their way of thinking. Second, the Council will learn from all cultures, not just those that follow the old ways. And third, emotion and logic will both be respected as valuable tools for advancement. Speaker Ryan Park stood up. The Council has voted unanimously to accept these terms. We also wish to formally apologize for our past actions. The secret bases in Earth's territory have been dismantled. All data collected without permission has been returned. J1 nodded in acceptance. Behind him, on a large screen, images showed human ships working alongside council vessels. They were dismantling the old automated defense networks and replacing them with new systems that combined logical computers with intuitive human-designed programs. But perhaps our most important announcement, Ryan continued, is the creation of the new Joint Development Initiative. Under this program, all species will share their unique perspectives and abilities. The first project will be a training program where Council pilots learn human-style creative flying from Lieutenant Yang's squadron. Su Bin smiled at this news. Her squadron had already started working with pilots from other species, teaching them to trust their instincts alongside their training. The chamber's atmosphere had changed completely from 1 month ago. Where there had once been fear and anger, now there was excitement about the future. The council members were learning that change, even difficult change, could lead to better things. "We stand at the beginning of a new journey," J1 said as he concluded his speech. "Humanity did not come here to conquer or to prove our superiority. We came to show that there are many paths to advancement, many ways of thinking that have value. Together, we can create something greater than any single species could achieve alone." As the chamber erupted in applause, Admiral Park turned to Ta Hyun. "Did you ever think it would end this way?" he asked quietly. "Not an ending," Ta Hyun replied. "A beginning. We showed them that humanity's emotional nature wasn't a weakness to be corrected. It was a strength they had forgotten they needed." Outside the council chamber, Earth's sun shone brightly in the alien sky. Human ships flew alongside council vessels, each learning from the other. The galaxy had changed forever, not through force of arms, but through the power of showing another way was possible. Humanity had finally found its place among the stars, and they had done it not by becoming more like the council, but by showing the council how to become more like them.